Kyle Klingman with Track Wrestling. We have a Division II NCAA champion for Minnesota State-Mankato. He placed third 3 times before that, so he won his final match at the D2 championships every year. But get a load of this stat. 291 wins between high school and college. 218 of those were falls. It's Matthew Petsinger. How are you, Matt?
Good. You?
I'm doing good. And when I read a stat like that, 74.9% wins by fall, if you just would have gotten one more, dude, you would have had 75%. One more fall, and you would have been up with that 75% margin.
I'll blame it on the one match I had to sit out for a skin rash in college.
You think you would have gotten a fall?
Probably.
How'd you get that mentality? It takes a certain mentality to go for the pin. Where did that come?
You know, it's the quickest way to get off of the mat. I got a philosophy of, I train hard and everything to not be on the mat for 5 or 6 minutes. Get out there, get the business done, and get off the mat and move on to the next person. And also, it probably started when we were in grade school, and there was 3 of us, 3 different families. We'd be going to meets every Saturday, and the 3 of us were starting to take bets on who could pin their guys the fastest. And so it just kind of carried on from there.
Who did you win most of those bets?
On the most part. Just don't let your parents find out you're doing that, because they'll find something tougher for you. And that's how I got in. So the parents found out that we were doing this, and then so my parents got me involved in freestyle, which then eventually got me into Greco-Roman.
What was your go-to pinning combination?
Either the double arm bar or a headlock. And a lot of people think I threw a lot of headlocks, which I'm sure I did. But my philosophy, if I had you on your back, you were going to stay on your back. So I might have started with, an arm bar, a double arm bar, half Nelson. But a lot of those turned into a head and arm, into a headlock, because you're on your back and you're going to stay there. And once I got you on your back, you had 2 choices. You could get pinned, or you could get hurt and get pinned. And there's a few people that chose the latter, but a lot of them chose the former.
When you went out there, clearly with that high of a percentage, you're pinning consistently. Did you get a sense that there were opponents that feared your style and what might happen?
Yeah, there was. And, one of the turning moments was a match that I had wrestled, and it was a freestyle tournament, and the whole tournament I actually was losing up until about the last few seconds, and I threw a headlock and pinned the kid. And so now I'm in the finals, and you could tell that the coach told the kid to stay out of the headlock. And so I was doing singles and doubles, and the kid finally, pushed in just right, because he forgot. I'm sure he thought, well, what my coach is talking about? He hasn't tried once. He's taking me down with legs. And I launched him in a headlock, pinned him, and after the match, I'm walking away, and I could hear the coach go up to him and go, "I told you to stay out of his headlock." And the kid lowered his head and he goes, "I tried to, coach, I tried to." And that kind of was a turning point to me that, I can do whatever I put my mind to it in a match.
I hear this match is legendary in Minnesota, a 1-1 match going into tiebreakers with Brad Pike. Take it from there.
Take it from there? Maybe you should go ask him how that turned out. Didn't turn out too well for me. It was, for me, it was a great matchup. At the time when you are a sophomore in high school, you don't think of it. I had asked my coach which weight Pike was going. I'd go the different weight, because I knew we both would be in the finals. We both could be state champions. I was told wrong information. We ended up in the same weight. ended up in the finals. Got to be 0-0, flip of a coin. He won the flip, chose down, and got away. If I would have won the flip, I'm sure I would have got away. It was a great match for him. It was not a wonderful match for me, but it is nice. It has been nice to hear people talk about that match, because at the time, you don't think that match was that great, but hindsight's 2020, and it was a really good match. It turned out better for the other guy.
Why was it a good match? It doesn't sound like there was much scoring. Was there a lot of action and scrambles in the match?
I think, it was a long time ago, and I'm going to blame getting bounced on the head quite often. I don't quite remember the whole thing. And that was before everything was videotaped. I don't even know if I have videotape of that match to even go and watch it. What I remember, it was, there was some action in that stuff. It was just a case that, our two styles really, you can say, clashed, or was really alike, however you want to look at it. And we both were able to defend each other in that stuff. I do know that it was a hard fought match. It just, at the end, didn't quite turn out well.
He went to Minnesota. You went to Minnesota State-Mankato. Why was that a good fit for you?
Well, I had known Jim ever since Jim Mikulski, the head coach there, ever since he started coaching at Mankato. I was going to their camps all those years, so I got to have a relationship with them. With that, knowing his coaching style and technique and everything, I thought it was a great place where I could fit in very well. It was, away from home, but not away from home too, where I knew my folks and other people that followed my wrestling, they would be able to come and watch a lot of the matches and that. So I think from early on I wanted to go to MSU, and I was fortunate enough that Mikulski awarded me a scholarship to come and wrestle for him.
For those who don't know Jim Mikulski, how would you explain Jim Mikulski to people?
Very level, never gets excited, and is always willing to help you learn on and off the mat. I probably learned just as much about life off the mat than what he was coaching me on the mat and that stuff. And for me, the other thing was that he, when I met with him on the recruiting trip, he goes, I love your style. We just need to refine it a little bit. I had gone to another college on a recruiting thing, and the coach wanted to change my style. By the time I was 18, 19 years old, I knew I was stubborn enough. You weren't going to change how I'm wrestling. I'll agree with, we got to refine it a little bit, but how I wrestle, that's not going to be changed. But it did take me 4 years to realize you can win a match by not being 100% aggressive all the time. And my final match in college was the championship, and I actually won that on riding time. And if you had told me 4 years earlier I would win a match on riding time, I would have said, what are you smoking? Because I would never ride a guy long enough to have riding time.
Let's take that match. Yeah, that was a pivotal match for you. It was your final match in college. It was against a guy named Lazaro Reynoso Martinez. So let's set up who this guy is. He went 2-2 against John Smith. John Smith, of course, 6-time world and Olympic champion. And then the next year he lost in the finals to a guy named Tom Brands, who is a world and Olympic champion. Now the head coach at Oklahoma State. Of course, Tom's head coach at Iowa, John Smith's head coach at Oklahoma State. And then Lazaro Reynoso Martinez. You meet him in the finals, beat him 10-9. Did you know about him going in to the final match and what his credentials were?
Not all of that. I heard something. He was a bronze medal, I think a bronze medal winner in the Olympics. That was about as much as I knew about him. I knew I had already beat him 4 years earlier. Um, so my freshman year at nationals, I met him to go for third or for fifth, and got him. I got him DQ'd for too much stalling, and so now fast forward 4 years. He got seeded number one in the tournament. I was seeded number two, which already kind of pissed me off a little bit, because it's like I've already beat this guy once before, and so when I went out there, I knew I was going to beat him as long as I kept the tempo high, and kept the tempo high, kept staying after him, being tough on him. I knew my conditioning that I've done would out-condition him, because that's pretty much what I did 4 years earlier, was out-condition him. And so when the clock hit zero and it was 10-9, I was happy. It was a very, I threw him, he threw me. He actually, one of the things, I ended up off of the platform because they had the mat raised. I ended up on the floor. I had to jump back up one time. It was an exciting match.
Of course, he's from Cuba, so he defected to the United States, wrestled for Carson Newman. When you wrestled him, could you tell that he was at a different level technically?
Not really. It did seem like he liked a more slower pace in a match. I like a more faster pace, but other than that, I very seldom changed my wrestling style on who I wrestle. I wrestle the way I wrestle, and be it good or bad, I win or lost. It was how I wrestled. It did take, the match before that, my semi-final match, I went against a guy that I had beat multiple times throughout my years in college. He was from Omaha, Nebraska, and I'd get in trouble because I'd be too aggressive. And for one of the first times ever, I took a stalling call, because we're on our feet, and I was backing up, and that normally wasn't something I would do, but I knew it was a smart. I finally learned the smart thing to do sometimes is to take that stalling call instead of being aggressive. And so that kind of carried into that final match where, I was aggressive, but, let's be smart at doing it. And if I'm riding the guy, let's do that. But I was also with Renor, so I was getting my arm bars in, which I know will take strength out of their shoulders and everything. So the more I worked on those, the better I thought I would be, if we got on our feet and that stuff.
Did you like that feeling of getting a fall?
I getting a pin is one of the best feelings you can have, because there's no doubt on who wins the match. You're the one with the pin. You're the one that won. There's sometimes that you almost wish that the matches you could only win by a pin. There is no score. You either win by a pin or no one wins. I think there should be a tournament like that and see how that goes.
Did you ever get pinned?
You get pinned once in a while, and that stuff. You get maybe a little bit too aggressive, or you have a little brain fart and you get caught in something. I do know that as because I started on varsity in high school as a seventh grader, 7 through 7, 8, and 9. I probably pinned as many people as I got pinned. I didn't lose too many. I didn't win or lose too many matches by points. It was either pinned or be pinned. After that, about freshman on up, I very much know that I pinned way more people that ever had me on my back. And there's some people that had me on my back for 2 whole periods, and I turn around and pin them in the third.
What are you up to these days? What is your current occupation?
My current occupation is I am a insurance agent for American Family Insurance here in Waseca, Minnesota. I've been now doing this for a little more than 2 years. It's what got us back to the Waseca area. My hometown is in Richland, and then of course Mankato is just right down the road, so I'm kind of back in my home stomping grounds. And that I'm looking forwards to have get my office, a little more structured in that, and hopefully down the road here, this will allow me a little bit of more time to get back into the wrestling rooms. I have a niece and nephew that wrestle for the hometown. My niece has actually earned some trips to wrestle on the Minnesota girls team that have gone to nationals, states and nationals and that stuff. So it's nice to be back around helping her out, helping my nephew out. Then also helping out anybody that asks. I'm a person that I'll never force wrestling on anybody. I have three little kids now, 2 boys and a girl. If they want to wrestle, great. If they want to play basketball, I tell people if they want to play I'm not going to tell them no. I don't know how many games I'm going to make, because I'll be at a wrestling meet. But I been around wrestling and been around so much different stuff in wrestling that you've seen where the parents have really pushed wrestling on the kids. This is what I did, you got to do it, and that people get burnt out and that stuff. And so if a kid comes up to me and goes, "Hey Matt, can you help me? Can you coach me?" I will do anything for that kid to help them out. But I'm not one that's gonna, like, even my niece and nephew. I love to tell them, "Hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this." But I won't force myself on them. When they come up and ask me, I tell them, your match, this is what you did wrong and that stuff. And because I've been around the kids and the parents that, kind of force it too much, and nothing good comes from it.
Do you attack business like you did wrestling?
I do. 100% full bore. Be it good or bad. It is what it is.
Never slow down? Like, do you sleep much, or do you wake up early?
Well, when you're dead, you get to sleep all you want. So I do get some sleep, yes, but a lot of times I am up early, up late at night and up early in the morning and that stuff. I'm normally the first one here, and I'm the last one to leave. But that's been anywhere where I've worked in all the different fields I've been in and that stuff. So, yep, how I work is how I wrestle. How I wrestle is how I work. 100% all the time.